Hey, good morning, everyone. The April 26th, 2022 Committee on Zoning, Landmarks, and Building Standards is called to order. Pursuant to applicable law, the chairman has determined that an in-person meeting is not practical or prudent. Accordingly, attendance at this meeting will be by remote means only. We will start off with the roll call. Committee members, please unmute yourself, and please note that your yes or present response will be deemed to be a yes vote when this quorum call is used as a reference vote for later items. Vice Chair Raboyes.
Chairman, present.
Morning. Alderman Hopkins.
Present.
Alderman Dowell.
Here.
Alderman Sawyer. Alderman Beal.
Yep.
Alderman Lopez.
Originally present, Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Mike Rodriguez.
Here.
Alderman Cicho Lopez.
Present.
Alderman David Moore. Matt. Alderman Cardona.
Present, Chairman.
Alderman Wagisback.
Present.
Alderman Austin.
Here.
Alderman Villegas.
Present.
Alderman Riley. Alderman Kappelman.
Present.
Alderman Osterman. Alderwoman Haddon.
Present.
We have 14 members present, and therefore we have a quorum.
Alderman Burnett is present.
Thank you. Now move on to the approval of the Rule 45 reports that contain the minutes of the March 2022 hearing of the Committee on Zoning, Landmark, and Building Standards. All members of this committee should have received a copy of this report electronically, and if hearing no objections, do I have a motion by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum to approve the minutes? And Cardona makes the motion. Any objections to his motion? Hearing none, the report has been approved. We will now move on to hear the items to be deferred. I will read the file number, the address, and the page number, and take a motion at the end for all of them at one time. So, on page 8 of the revised agenda and page 9 of the regular agenda, file number 20987, for the address commonly known as 2100 through 2102 West 18th Place, also 1814 through 1824 South Point Avenue. On page 11 of the revised agenda and page 18 of the deferred agenda, file number 20922 T1, for the address commonly known as 1647 through 1649 West Irving Park Road. On page 14 of the revised agenda and page 2 of the regular agenda, file number A8741, for the address is commonly known as 8147 South Vincennes Avenue, 8134 through 8158 South Vincennes Avenue, and 442 through 450 West 82nd Street. On page 14 of the revised agenda and page 3 of the regular agenda, file number A8487, for the address commonly known as, or addresses, I should say, commonly known as 1628 through 1650 West 17th Street, also 1629 through 1651 West 16th Street. On page 15 of the revised agenda and page 5 of the regular agenda, file number 20991 T1, for the address commonly known as 4451 South Cottage Grove Avenue. On page 15 of the revised agenda and page 7 of the regular agenda, file number 20961, for the address commonly known as 3211 through 3227 East 92nd Street, also 9200 to 9242 South Burley Avenue. Page 15 of the revised agenda and page 8 of the regular agenda, file number 20985, for the address commonly known as 3155 South Union Avenue. On page 16 of the revised agenda and page 8 of the regular agenda, file number 20975 T1, for the address commonly known as 3357 South Carpenter Street. On page 16 of the revised agenda and page 9 of the regular agenda, file number 20963 for the address commonly known as 3301 West 59th Street. And lastly, on page 16 of the revised agenda and page 10 of the regular agenda, file number 20972 for the address commonly known as 106 South Waller Avenue. Any questions by committee members? None. Alderman Raboyes makes a motion to defer these previously listed items by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum. No objections. Hearing on these items have been deferred. And colleagues, we have no public speakers signed up for today's hearing, so we're going to jump right into things, starting with the addendum to the agenda. First item on the addendum is document number 02022-857, the historical landmark designation for the Ludlow Typograph Company building located at 2028 through 2062 North Clybourne Avenue in the second ward. We have Daniel Claiborne here from the Department of Planning and Development to present on this matter. Before we get to Dan, Alderman Ellis.
Want to be recognized for attendance, Chairman.
You are. Thank you very much. All right, Dan.
Good morning, Chairman. I am here, but the host has disabled screen sharing. That could be.
You should be good, Dan.
Okay. You can see it okay?
Yes, sir. Continue.
Great. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chairman Tunney. I am here today with a proposed ordinance for the designation of the Ludlow Typograph Company building as a Chicago landmark. To help orient you, the Ludlow building is located in Chicago's Lincoln Park community area at 2028 through 2062 North Clybourne Avenue, just north and east of the North Branch of the Chicago River. At the February meeting of the Commission on Chicago Landmarks, the Commission found that the Ludlow building met 4 criterion for designation, including criterion 1 for heritage. The Ludlow Company's contributions to the printing industry include the development of the Ludlow Typograph, a machine used for casting lines of type for setting in printing presses, as well as the creation of dozens of popular typefaces. Criterion 3 for its association with 2 significant individuals in the printing industry, Douglas McMurtry, a nationally renowned expert on printing and typography, as well as Robert Middleton, an accomplished typographic artist. In addition, the Commission also found that the Ludlow building is significant under criterion 4 for architecture. The Ludlow building is a significant Prairie School influenced commercial style building that has a repeating layout which made it possible for future expansion both horizontally and vertically, as Ludlow required additional production space. And lastly, for criterion 5 for architect, Alfred S. Elschuler was one of Chicago's most prominent and prolific early 20th century architects. And while he specialized in commercial and industrial architecture, he also designed a wide range of structures throughout his career, including hundreds of public buildings, synagogues, and apartment buildings. The Ludlow building is located in the second ward, and Alderman Hopkins has expressed his support for the proposed designation. In addition, the building's current owner, Annexation LLC, has consented to the proposed landmark designation of the building to help facilitate its planned residential and commercial reuse. In conclusion, DPD staff recommends that the Ludlow building's significant historical and architectural features be identified as all exterior elevations, including roof lines, of the building. You have a proposed ordinance to that effect. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Alderman Hopkins, would you like to comment on this designation?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Very excited we've come to this point. I think it bears mentioning that there were a number of proposals in the years prior that would have demolished this building. And we had to fight to save it. The community had to fight to save it. And we were told years ago that the nature of this particular structure didn't lend itself to an adaptive reuse. Obviously, the community didn't accept that, and we persevered and pushed through The narrative, the story behind it is just a remarkable tale of what the industrial use for this corridor was for many, many decades. So the fact that that's going to be preserved, and granted, it's not, if you look at it, it's very utilitarian, but there is a simplistic beauty to the building, and it's certainly worth saving. This is an excellent project, and I look forward to the construction phase beginning. So I'm in full support of this, and I would urge an aye vote from the committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Any questions by committee members? Hearing none, can I get a motion to move to pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum?
So move.
Alderman Ragoyes makes the motion. Any objections to the motion? Hearing none, this ordinance is passed. Congratulations. Next, we have one historical landmark fee waiver, document number OR 2022-67 in the 9th Ward for the property located at 11114 through 1116 South Champlain Avenue. We have no presentation on this one, but we have the Department of Planning and Development to answer any questions. And I know Alderman Beal's on the call. Questions, comments? Alderman Beal, you want to comment on this, please?
Yeah, I'm in full support of this, Mr. Chairman, and respectfully ask the committee's favorable support as well.
Very much. Any questions? Hearing none. Can I get a motion to move to pass for the same roll call that was used to determine quorum?
Alderman
Move to
Cardona,
pass,
to pass.
Alderman Cardona makes the motion. Any objections to the motion? Hearing none, this item is passed.
Chairman Dunning?
Yes, is that Alderman Riley?
It is. I'd just like to be recorded for purposes of roll call for the attendance.
Yes, sir. You're
Thank
on
you.
the form. All right. Now we're moving on. We have one demolition of a non-contributing building in the 27th Ward in the Fulton Randolph Market Landmark District located at 210 through 218 South Aberdeen Street. With no presentation on this, we have the Department of Planning and Development here to answer questions. Who from the Department of Planning is going to?
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. This is Michelle Rhymes from the Department of Planning and Development. If you wish to see a presentation, I am available to share. However, the screen sharing is disabled for me.
Do we have a picture of the building?
Yes, sir, we do. I have a
Can
full
you-
presentation for you.
Yeah. we can.
Sure.
Michelle, you can share the screen.
Thank you very much. Just a moment, please. Please let me know when you can see the screen.
We can see the screen now.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. For the record, I am Michelle Rhymes, a project manager with the City of Chicago Department of Planning and Development, and I'm here today on behalf of the Commission on Chicago Landmarks. We're seeking the approval of a wrecking permit application for the partial demolition of a two-story masonry commercial building located at 210 through 218 North Aberdeen Street. The building is located mid-block on the west side of North Aberdeen Street between West Fulton Market and West Lake Street in the Fulton Randolph Market District. The permit application is for the demolition of the rear non-historic western half of the Arthur Harris Building, which was originally constructed in 1904, and the existing two-story cross gable, and to reintroduce approximately 31 feet of the one-story shingle gable roof that was original to the building. Additionally, the applicant will retain approximately 15 feet of the south elevation and the original roof trusses of the Arthur Harris Building and return the front facade of the building to its original design. For your information, those areas highlighted in blue on the drawings are the areas to be retained. Those in red will be demolished. And those areas in orange are outside of the landmark district. The proposed partial demolition is part of a larger mixed-use development that includes approximately 414 residential apartments and 10,000 square feet of commercial space on the ground floor, most of which is outside of the landmark district. The Commission on Chicago Landmarks approves the proposed demolition during its January 13, 2022 meeting. Prior to the meeting, the staff received a letter of support from Alderman Walter Burnett of the 27th Ward, expressing his support of the proposed partial demolition. The Department of Planning and Development respectfully asks that this committee approve the Commission on Chicago Landmarks recommendation for the approval of the permit application for the partial demolition of the commercial building located at 210 through 218 North Aberdeen Street in the Fulton Randolph Market District. That's all, Mr. Chairman.
Now, I know we're going to hear from Alderman Burnett and his support, but while we have this photo online, the historic 1.5 stories remaining, obviously.
That is correct.
I don't know which direction it is, but closer to the train, is that new building. Was there a sensitivity of that building being in the landmark district, knowing that this is going to be saved? It was all part of a larger plan, I presume.
There has been some discussion about that. They wanted to incorporate the existing Arthur Harris building into the development. As you know, Mr. Chairman, they have to come back to the city to get permission for the for the development of each section of this project. But they've answered all of the questions to the satisfaction of the commission regarding the context of this building and the future development for the district.
The development that we see, has that already been approved?
No, not that I'm aware of. The only action that I'm aware of, Cindy has her hand raised. What we do know is that they came before this committee for a zoning reclassification. And I know this is within Cindy Rubik's district, and she can speak more to the grand development.
All right, but, well, before we hear from Cindy, does Alderman Burnett want to say a few words on this? Maybe he has the answers that I've asked.
I would acquiesce to Cindy. If I'm not mistaken, I think we did rezone this property.
Yes.
And I recall that the landmark building was one of the highlights in the process of rezoning, having them to preserve it and do what they're gonna do. So Cindy, if Cindy could interject, I appreciate it.
Please.
If it's okay with you, Mr. Chairman.
Oh, I would love to hear. I just like to see the integration of the new architecture with the historic building. If Cindy has a comment on that.
Yes, Chairman Tunney, and thank you, Alderman Burnett and Michelle. Cindy Rubik, for the record, I'm Deputy Commissioner with the Department of Planning and Development. And yes, this was this new construction and the historic building, kind of the entire development was reviewed and approved by Plan Commission and City Council last summer. So definitely it worked with the applicant and the historic preservation on incorporating the setbacks that you see with the new construction, so that it really felt like the historic building was kind of, independent, could function independently, even though it is part of the overall development.
Cindy. All right. Walter, do you want to comment any more, or do we have any questions from committee members?
No, I'm in full support of it.
Right. Any committee members with questions? If not, can I get a motion to move to pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum?
So moved, Alderwoman Haddon.
Haddon makes the motion. Any objections to her motion?
Alderman Wagasback moves to pass.
Scott, but Alderman Haddon had already made the motion. No objections. Hearing none, the order is passed. All right.
Thank you,
Sorry,
Mr. Chairman.
All right. Moving on, we have large signs over 100 square feet in area 24 feet above grade. We will hear them all together, and I will read the ward, followed by the address, and take a motion at the end. We will start with the first ward, one sign located at 1341 North Paulina. Moving on to the 14th ward, two signs located at 5648 South Archer Avenue. In the 23rd ward, one sign located at 5320 South Pulaski Road. Two signs in the 27th ward located at 2934 West Lake Street. Also in the 27th ward, one sign located in 800 West Fulton Market. Again in the 27th ward, two signs located at 1620 West Harrison Street. Moving on to the 34th ward, one sign at 801 West 119th Street. In the 41st ward, two signs located at 838 North Patton Drive. Also in the 41st ward, one sign at 11601 West Toohey Avenue. Moving on to the 42nd ward, one sign located at 333 West Wolf Point Plaza. More in the 42nd ward, there are four signs located at 19 South Wabash. And again in the 42nd ward, one sign located at 15 South Wabash. Lastly, in the 45th ward, one sign located at 4715 West Irving Park Road. If no questions by committee members, do I hear a motion to move to pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum? Alderman Wagasback moves do pass. Any objections? Hearing none, these orders are passed. We will now move on to the regular agenda. In an effort to minimize technical difficulties and to ensure the committee meeting runs as smoothly as possible, the typical order in which items will be heard has been updated. Throughout the duration of virtual committee on zoning meetings, items will be grouped together according to witness attorney and will be heard in that order rather than ward order. All right. Alderman Mannix, I believe. We're on page 1 of the revised agenda. Have Alderman Hairston on the call.
Yes.
Morning, Alderman. We're reading document number A8748 in the 5th Ward. Ordinance was referred on March 23rd of 2022. Common addresses, 5600 through 5602 South Drexel Avenue, 5627 South Maryland Avenue, and 5635 through 5637 South Maryland Avenue. And the change request from an RN5 residential multi-unit district and institutional plan development number 43 to institutional plan development number 43 as amended. Alderman Hairston.
Thank you. Good morning, committee members. I am asking for your support on this item. It is part of a planned development that we had. It is for the University of Chicago to build their cancer center. It will be the first and only one here on the south side in the city of Chicago. The University of Chicago services thousands of people throughout the world. And this is the direction that they think is most effective to have treatment for cancer patients here in the city. So I'm asking for the committee support.
To Alderman, I got a two-step here because we've got to incorporate the records from the Plan Commission first, since it is a PD.
Okay.
All right. So Alderman Beal moves to incorporate records from the Plan Commission by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum. Any objections? Hearing none, the records are incorporated. Now on the motion on the aldermanic. Any questions for Alderman Hairston? None. Then can I get a motion to move to pass by the same roll call?
Mr. Chairman, Alderman Austin.
That was Alderwoman Austin makes the motion. Any objections to her motion? Hearing none, this item is passed as revised. Congratulations, Leslie.
Thank you all. Thank you, committee members. Thank you, Alderman Austin.
Moving on. Is Alderman Scott with us?
He is, sir.
Okay, put on your seatbelt, Alderman. So we got a fair amount of improvements, I should say, to your ward. So let me just start. I'm going to read all this into the record because we are doing a series of zoning changes for a large project of affordable housing in Michael Scott's ward. So let me read it into the record. The next 3 items are all part of the same project and will have one presentation. They will also have substitute ordinances as they were introduced with incorrect designations.
Call them back.
I will read each file individually and take a motion for each after I call out the 3 applications first. So, Aldermanic 8742 in the 24th Ward for the address commonly known as 1858 South Kedzie Avenue. The change request is B32 Community Shopping District to B21 Neighborhood Mixed Use District. Next is Aldermanic 8743, also in the 24th Ward, for the address commonly known as 1925 through 1929 South Kedzie Avenue. And the change request is from a B32 Community Shopping District to a B21 Neighborhood Mixed Use District. And lastly is Aldermanic 8744 in the 24th Ward for the address commonly known as 1901 through 1903 South Kedzie Avenue and also 1906 South Kedzie Avenue. The change request is from B32 Community Shopping District to B21 Neighborhood Mixed Use District. As stated before, the 3 items each have substitute ordinances. The substitutes added the B21 designations for the 3 applications as they were introduced with an incorrect designation. Additionally, the substitute for A8744 removes the 1906 South Kedzie Avenue address so that the affected addresses are 1901 through 1903 South Kedzie Avenue. Let's see. Any questions on that before I get a motion to accept the substitutes? All right. No questions. I need a motion to accept the substitutes for files A8742, A8743, and A8744 by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum. Alderman Raboyes makes the motion. Any objections? Hearing none, the substitutes are finally before us. We have Brian O'Donnell from the Department of Housing on these matters, and then we'll hear from Alderman Michael Scott. All right, Brian.
Okay, screen sharing is disabled at the moment.
It's good now, Brian.
Sounds like you're ready, Brian.
You can see my screen?
Sure.
All right. Good morning, Chairman Tunney, Vice Chairman Raboyes, and committee members. For the record, my name is Brian O'Donnell of the Homeownership Bureau in the Department of Housing. The department supports the proposed zoning map amendments for 1859 South Kedzie, for 1901 and 1903 South Kedzie, and for 1925 and 1929 South Kedzie, off from the existing B32 Community Shopping District to the proposed B21 Neighborhood Mixed Use District. If approved, these amendments would allow for a ground floor residential use. The lots under consideration are in Kedzie, south of Ogden Avenue, and a couple of blocks west and southwest of Douglas Park. The lots are in the first batch of lots to undergo site prep and remediation work in the Reclaiming Chicago efforts in North and South Lawndale. Here are the 5 lots shown on a zoning map of the 1800 and 1900 blocks of South Kedzie. This is a bird's eye view of the 1800 block of South Kedzie. Aside from a church mid-block and a mixed-use building at the southwest corner of Ogden and Kedzie, the entire west side of the block is residential. Another bird's eye view, this of the 1900 blocks of South Kedzie, Going south to the Kedzie Pink Line L station, you can see that the lots which are not vacant contain multifamily residential buildings. A similar view of the same block highlighting 1925 and 1929 parcels. Reclaiming Chicago is an effort to build up to 1,000 new homes across the city, and the first effort to do this is taking place in the North and South Lawndale community areas. An ordinance to approve the sale of 100 lots to the joint venture between Lawndale Christian Development Corp. and Chicago Neighborhood Initiatives was approved by City Council in October 2021. The lots under consideration today were included in the land sale ordinance. This concludes my testimony.
And Scott, would you like to comment on this ambitious project?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the committee for entertaining this today. Again, like Brian said, this is the initial phase of the 1,000 homes that will be built on the north and south side of the city of Chicago with the Reclaiming Chicago program. We're going to try to, I'll be back before this body, hopefully several times to get those 100 homes that we want to get built this year. And then over the course of the next 5 years, somewhere to 500 to 1,000 homes. This is in efforts to repopulate North Lawndale that has been losing population over the course of the last 20 years at a rapid rate. And so creating affordable housing in vacant lots, and we have plenty of vacant lots, is what we're trying to do. And so would ask favorable support of this so we can get this initial kickoff done. And again, we'll be back before the body of this body several times in efforts to change zoning on other pieces of land that may be in some commercial districts as well. So again, thank you, Mr. Chair, for indulging it, and thank you, members of the committee, and hope for a favorable passage.
Alderman Waguespack, you have a question or comment?
Yes, Chairman. And I was just looking at the north side of 19th there, and for Alderman Scott, it looks like they had rehabbed both of those buildings. Was that in conjunction with this project, or were they trying to do that on their own and just prepare for this new zoning that you're doing?
So no, that was done on their own. This is, again, the initial step of actually, this is not the initial step. If you see it right on your screen currently, there are two houses that we did on Troy, which are the model homes for both the stick build and the modularly built homes. And so again, that's the first one. This is our second foray to get that done. The lots that you were talking about, or the buildings that you were talking about, were done on their own, just because, again, there is so much work going on in and around that Ogden corridor with Invest Southwest and with the Reclaiming Chicago that, folks have now started to invest in the community. And so it's just something on their own.
Yeah, they look great. I just thought maybe they had talked to you and were like, hey, we're going to take the first steps, but it looks great. That's all I wanted to comment on.
I appreciate that.
So, Chairman, if you don't mind, I'll make that motion to pass.
I want to ask one question. I don't see other hands up, but Michael, would you please, you talk about 500 to 1,000 homes. So what, in terms of your ward, the 24th, what kind of opportunities or sheer volume of modular homes are you looking for, and over what period of time?
So, the stick build and the modular homes are, from what I understand, relatively around the same price as it relates. And so it would be pretty much up to the homeowner who comes in and sees these two models and says, hey, we want to do modular or we want to do stick build. We have over 3,000 vacant lots in North Lawndale, and that is city owned. There are a bunch of other land bank owned lots and just folks who have bought over the dollar lot over the course of the last couple of years, when it started with Mayor Emanuel and now with this administration, in terms of just, we have a large volume of empty lots. And so if I could build 3,000 homes, I would do that, because, the city is not great tenants and they aren't great neighbors. And so, it is very difficult to keep those lands clean, and it's very difficult to get all of that stuff done. And so if I could build 3,000, I would. But this initial, we want to do 100, and then we want to go back and I think do 100, maybe 200 at a time, because we're trying to build in scale, the way that you create neighborhoods, because I got, blocks and blocks of vacant lots, is to create whole blocks of new homes and get people to come into those new homes. And so we'll probably be doing them at 100 at a time over the next 5 years. We want to get to at least 500. And if it is working and it's doing what we need it to do, hopefully 1,000.
Very ambitious. I appreciate it. All right. And so does our colleagues, I'm sure. With that, Alderman Burnett has his hand up. Walter?
First of all, I want to commend Department of Housing and definitely Alderman Scott for all his great work. Just have a question. Who is the modular company that you're dealing with? Is that Josh?
Yeah, it's Connect.
Connects. Yep.
It's Connects. And who's doing the stick builder?
So the stick build is being done by Londale Christian Development Corporation and CNI. They're the developer on it, and so they'll be doing the work as it relates to the stick builds.
Yeah. So I just went to see Josh maybe 2-3 weeks ago. And he was telling me because of construction costs, his price had to go up. I guess everybody going through that.
Mm-hmm.
How does that, and I'm sure that relates the same way to the stick build. Are they about the same price to get built, right?
So at the last, I'm going to have to, again, meet with LCDC. But at last time, and I talked to them about a month and a half ago, they were still kind of paralleling at the same price. And the modular home is a little bit bigger than the stick build. They don't look like it, but it is. And so I will get that answer for you, Alderman. But I believe at my last meeting with them, they were about the same. They're about the same price.
Yeah, because Josh was telling me it's about $40,000 more, because of construction cost. Material costs.
Yep, and the supply line. So everything is supply chain, and everything is going up. So yes, that is the case.
All right. So who pays for this? Do this come out of this money? So you giving them the lots, Mike? Would they get their own funding, or there's some funding coming from housing?
So it's been really interesting how this came together. So we gave them the land, and then what we did is went into TIF and then made the lands pad ready, right? Because if you have to go in and you have to do environmental, it just raises the price on the homes. And so we made it pad ready. They've gone out and raised quite a bit of money, I think to the tune of about $10 million and counting, and I may be off. And then they've gone to the state, and the state has given us some money for subsidies. And so, you mix all of what we've done with the money that they've raised, then you get to a price where it is affordable. And so what we're trying to do is keep these houses under $250,000 for an individual who's buying. And many people might not say, hey, that's not affordable, but 3-4 bedrooms, brand new house from the ground with subsidies, get you to about that price. And so it has been a hodgepodge of kind of putting these pieces together. And I really have to commend the Reclaim Chicago folks and LCDC and CNI and the work that they've done to, one, raise this money, but two, get people who are in the neighborhood ready. They've gone through this program where they get folks and make sure that their credit is ready and make sure that they have the down payment and get everybody ready so that when these houses are built, folks can go right in there. And so they've done a really good job of making this happen. And so I want to applaud them for all the work that they've done. And also, like you said, the Department of Housing has been a real champion of affordable housing, especially here in my ward. And so I would really like to commend them. Yep. I just got a text from Richard Townsend, who's on the line. He said the stick build and the modular will be the same price.
Fantastic. Thank you. Same price to build, or
yep, same price to build and the same price. We're gonna try to sell them both at under $250,000.
Fantastic. Congratulations. Good job, everybody.
All right,
Thank
any
you.
more questions, comments? Otherwise, Alderman Wagisback makes a motion to move to pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum. Any objections to his motion? Hearing none, these items are passed. Congratulations again, Michael. All right.
Thank you, Mr.
And,
Chairman, members of the committee.
My staff tells me that we want to get, for all these zoning changes, we want to make sure our budget gets increased for all the mailing and title searches. Is that right? Is that right? All right, so we'll put that on the record too.
You can count me in as a yes on that.
All righty. All right, now, where are we at now?
Top page 2.
Top of page 2, in the 32nd Ward, Aldermanic 8745. The ordinance was referred on March 23rd of 2022. Common address 2550 North Milwaukee Avenue, also 3131 West Logan Boulevard. And the change request from a B33 community shopping district to a POS-2 Parks and Open Space District. Alderman Wagisback. And can we read both of these in at the same time? Okay. All right, we'll keep these separate, even though it's part of the major project. Scott, you want to talk on first Milwaukee and Logan, please?
Years. We, as a committee, made changes to what was the old Mega Mall site many years ago. It has a new development on it called Logan Crossing. Basically, this parcel is going to be redesigned as a park space to tie together to Logan, the monument there, and create a more 24-hour flow of pedestrians being able to walk there going north and south. Preliminary plans on this site would call for landscaping and natural seating elements for the community. And so I would ask the committee's favorable support of this item.
Thank you, Scott. I think in my briefing, I had a photo of this thing. Do we have anybody from the department to share the screen on this one? Cindy?
Yes, Chairman Tunney, thank you, Alderman Wagisback. I do have a rendering I can share. It does show both lots.
Yeah, let's put them up in both of them together is fine.
Okay. Do you see my screen?
Yes, we do.
Okay, here we go. All right, so it's in Alderman Wagisback's ward in the Logan Square community area. And here is the north lot, the north parcel right on Milwaukee Avenue and Logan Boulevard. And here's the triangular parcel in Sacramento. So this request is to change the current zoning, which is B3-3 on the north lot and C2-2 on the south lot, into POS-2 so we could use it for open space. Here's a rendering of the triangular parcel down on Sacramento. And here's the rendering for the northern parcel looking down Milwaukee Avenue here. And this is where the blue line goes underground.
And Chairman, on the south parcel there for Sacramento and Milwaukee, this was being used as a storage and parking area by a nearby motor vehicle repair shop. We were able to get a cease and desist notice against the business, and working with Department of Law, DPD, and what we expect there is working with the community groups, Logan Square Neighborhood Association, Logan Square Preservation, getting something in the short duration like food trucks, landscape elements, and really allowing people to continue to use that site for what it was hopefully originally intended. And then we have AAS checking on environmental issues if there are any on both sites. And again, that would be the same for the second item. This would be the second item.
Right.
Sounds a great adaptive reuse. Well, first of all, we're going to take a vote. If there's no questions on the Milwaukee Logan, and then I will introduce the Sacramento one, and then we can get either a question or a vote separately on that one. So on the 8745 Milwaukee and Logan, questions, comments? Otherwise, can I get a motion to move due pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Vice Chair Raboyes makes the motion. Any objections to his motion? Hearing none, the item's passed. Now, I'm going to read the second half of this presentation into the record. That's document number 8746. Again, 32nd Ward ordinance was referred on March 23rd of 2022. Common address is 2420 North Sacramento. And this change request is from a C22 motor vehicle related commercial district to POS 2 Parks and Open Space District. The presentation was made. Alderman Wagasback talked about both of them. Any questions on the Sacramento portion of this ordinance? None. Can I get a motion to move to pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum?
So moved by Alderman Cardona.
Alderman Cardona makes the motion. Any objections to the motion? Hearing none, this item is passed.
Thank you, Chair.
I just wanted, Scott, it's a great project. That I also heard you might have food trucks over there.
Yes, food trucks, and there's a couple of vendors that show up as well, Elateros, and we're going to make sure that they're allowed to stay there and compete with the food trucks.
Good luck to you. I know it's a lot of work to get this done. So, all right. Bottom of page 2, document number 20988T1 in the first ward. Ordinance was referred on March 23rd of 2022. Common address is 1912 West Division Street. And the change request from an RT4 residential 2-flat townhouse and multi-unit district and a B32 community shopping district, all to a B23 neighborhood mixed use district. We have Sylvia Mikas on this item in the first ward. Sylvia.
Good morning, Chairman Tunney and members of the committee. For the record, my name is Sylvia Mikas, an attorney with the Taft Law Firm. And here with me today is Angela Lascaris, manager of the applicant 1912 Division LLC, which is also the owner of the subject property. Also present and available for questions is our project architect, Rick Whitney of Fitzgerald Architects. First, we would like to thank and acknowledge Alderman LaSpada for his support of applicant's proposed mixed-use building at the subject property. Next slide, please. The subject property, as reflected in the red highlighted area, contains 3,280 square feet. It fronts onto Division Street and is currently vacant and unimproved. The subject property is located on a pedestrian street and located within 2,100 feet of the Blue Line CTA station at Division in Milwaukee. Next slide, please. The applicant seeks to develop the subject property with a new 4-story mixed-use building containing retail space and a total of 7 dwelling units. Since the filing of applicant's original Type 1 zoning amendment application, the applicant's plans were revised to reflect a decrease in the proposed retail square footage from the original proposed 1,400 square feet to 898 square feet. At this time, I would like to incorporate applicant's substitute narrative and plans into the record.
So Alderman Raboyes moves to accept the substantive narrative plans for the Type 1 application by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum. Any objections? Hearing none, the substantive narrative plans are accepted. And would you continue, please?
Thank you. The applicant's proposed mixed-use building will contain 898 square feet of retail space at the front of the first floor, 1 ADA accessible residential unit located at the rear of the first floor, and 2 residential units on each of the second, third, and fourth floors. The existing utility facilities and easement located at the rear of the property prevent alley access for on-site parking. As the property is a transit-served location, the applicant is seeking to waive the 7 required residential parking spaces as part of its Type 1 zoning amendment application. In keeping with the transit-oriented friendly development, the proposed mixed-use building will include a bike room, which will contain space for 7 bike spaces. In order to permit applicant's proposed mixed-use building, the applicant is seeking a zoning amendment from the existing RT4 district and B3-2 district to a B2-3 district. The applicant has met with and showed its plans to his adjacent neighbors located directly to the east and west, and they have no objection. Next slide, please. As stated previously, the applicant has worked with and received the support of Alderman Laspada, of which I believe the Committee on Zoning has a copy of his letter of support. This concludes our presentation. We are available for any questions.
Mr. Chairman, I have a quick comment.
All right, Alderman Raboy is on a comment.
Just want to clarify for the record, is that La Spada on the bicycle?
I think he's trying to get to our meeting. My question, Sylvia, is talk to me about the easement and the lack of parking. I understand there's no parking and its proximity to the rail station, but what is on that easement? What's going on in the back?
Basically, there's utility, existing utility, Ameritech facilities with poles, and also there's an easement that restricts anyone from accessing that particular area. Is my understanding of that easement, and that's why there is the inability to have parking in that particular area. The only way in order to access that, in order to establish parking, so while the easement does not restrict parking, the access to that parking would only be able to happen by establishing a curb cut off of West Division. Then that would, which is not supported because it is a pedestrian street. But my understanding, given with the poles and the actual easement itself with Ameritech, it would be difficult to provide the on-site parking, as there would be no alley access to those parking spaces. I can, if you want further clarification, I know my my client has additional information, and I'm happy.
I think neighbors on both sides are fine.
They're fine.
That's fine.
Yeah,
Okay.
we met with them and showed them our plans, and they're both they have no objection.
Other questions, comments from committee members? If not, can I get a motion to move to pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum?
So moved by Alderman Cardona.
Alderman Cardona makes the motion. Any objections to the motion? Hearing none, this item is passed with the substantive narrative and plans. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, moving on to page 3, document number 20986, also in the first ward. Ordinance was referred on March 23rd of 2022. Common address is 2536 West North Avenue, and the change request from a B31 community shopping district to a B32 community shopping district. We have Blair Rockoff, I believe.
Yes. Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm the owner of the building, as well as the applicant who is looking for these changes.
Blair, for the record, would you read your name into the record, please?
Blair Rockoff.
Owner of the subject property, correct?
Yes.
Okay, continue.
Did you want me to present anything?
Well, you were asking for a zoning change.
Correct.
And tell us what you plan to do with the building or the land.
Sure. Currently, I have a commercial property that is a single-story building, and I'm proposing to build a 2-story addition with 2 one-bedroom apartments on the second floor and 1 condo on the second floor. That would be a 4-bedroom, 3-bath condo.
Oh, right. So you have talked to Alderman Laspada on this?
Yes, and I just got confirmation of the letter that you should have a copy of.
We've received a letter of support. Yeah. So,
okay. He has, I mean, I have floor plans and I have renderings, so I can share my screen with you.
No, that's not the problem. Okay. So right now you have an existing 1-story commercial only building.
Yes.
And you will be adding on How many units are you going to add on?
3 units total.
And it sounded like, is this entire building going to be all condominium, or are you going to be renting some of these units?
I would be renting 2 units on the second floor, and I would be living on the top floor.
Okay, so you'll basically own the entire enterprise, so to speak.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Any questions, comments from committee members other than myself? Hearing none, can I get a motion to move to pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum?
So moved, Chairman. Alderman Wagasback.
Alderman Wagasback makes the motion. Any objections to the motion? Hearing none, the item is passed. Thank you very much. Good luck.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Now, next 3 items on South Dearborn are identical projects, and we'll have 1 presentation. I'll call out the 3 items, and we have 1 presentation from Nick Fatikas. So let me read file number 20984 in the 3rd Ward. Common address is 5438 South Dearborn Street, and the change request is from an RS3 residential single unit detached house district to an RT4 residential 2-flat townhouse and multi-unit district. Next, we have file number 20983, also in the 3rd Ward. Common address is 5432 South Dearborn Street, and the change request is from an RS3 residential single unit detached house district to an RT4 residential 2-flat townhouse and multi-unit district. And lastly, file number 20982, again in the 3rd Ward. Common address is 5404 South Dearborn Street, and the change request again from an RS3 residential single unit detached house district to an RT4 residential 2-flat townhouse and multi-unit district. Again, we have Nick Fatikas on these matters. Nick, would you like to talk to us about it?
Yes, good morning again. Nick Fatikas for the record. I'm here on behalf of the applicant in all 3 of these cases, Center Court Development LLC. And the program that's being presented to the board today, or to the committee today, is the development of 3 vacant lots on the 5400 block of South Dearborn. Each lot will be developed with a new 3-story, 2-unit residential building. Each of the buildings will be masonry and construction and measure 38 feet in height. And there will be 2 cars, 2 parking spaces at the rear of each lot, so 1-to-1 parking is maintained. The applicant in this case, Mr. Kamal Murray, worked directly with Alderman Dowell. We do have letters of support for all 3 matters on file, but I also believe the alderman's on the call as well, and I'd be happy to yield the floor to her for further comment.
Thank you, Nick. Alderwoman Dowell, would you comment on South Dearborn, please?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. When Excess Tennis Village, which is at 53rd and State Street, was constructed in 2018, it was one of the largest indoor and outdoor tennis facilities in the United States and on the south side of Chicago. One of the goals of my hope at that time would be that this development would spur development around the tennis facility. And this has happened now, and I support Center Court Development in their efforts to construct residential buildings adjacent to the Excess Tennis Village. And I ask for the committee's support for this effort. Thank you.
Alderman Dowell. Questions, comments? Before I get a motion, I wanted to congratulate you. I know how hard you've worked on that tennis center and the appropriate economic development around it. So this is a legacy project for you, right? I know that for sure. All right. Questions, comments? None. Alderman Wagasback. What? I got to read all 3 files. I'm sorry. Read it. I'm going to read all the three addresses, file numbers, and then I'll take one motion that Alderman Wagasback, I believe, is making. But let me read the file. Let me read the file numbers. File number 20984, file number 20983, and file number 2082, all on South. 20982. 20982, 20983, and 20984, all located on the 5400 block of South Dearborn. Alderman Waguespack makes the motion to move to pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum. Any objections to his motion? Hearing none, these items are passed. All
Thank
right.
you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Mr. Fickus.
All
Thank
right.
you, Alderman.
Now we're on page 4. Document number 20980 in the 7th Ward. Ordinance was referred on March 23rd of 2022. Common address is 9319 South Merrill Avenue. Change request from an RS2 residential single unit detached house district to an RS3 residential single unit detached house district. Fatikas again.
Thank you, Chairman. Again, for the record, Nick Fatikas from the law offices of Sam Banks. I'm here on behalf of the applicant and property owners concerning the subject property at 9319 South Merrill. The subject property is currently improved with a residential building and it's currently zoned RS2. My clients are proposing to take down the existing building and legally divide the single zoning lot into 2 developable lots. Each lot would have one new single family home containing approximately 2,300 square feet of living space. Each of the 2 new homes will also be 27 feet in height and have 2 garage parking spaces located at the rear. So a zoning change to the RS3 is required in this case to allow the lot division and ultimately the 2 single family homes to be developed. We worked directly with Alderman Mitchell on this proposal. I did forward staff an email with Alderman Mitchell's support. I believe staff at your office also confirmed the Alderman's support for the program. So I just wanted to make sure that was in order.
We have received approval from Alderman Mitchell. Support, I should say.
And Chairman, that concludes the presentation. I'd be happy to answer your questions you or the committee members might have.
What's the size of the lot, Nick?
So currently it's a 50 by 125 lot, and it would be divided into 2 25-foot wide lots. So it would be a typical or standard lot resulting.
Any other comments, questions? Again, we do have support from Alderman Mitchell. Can I get a motion to move to pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum?
Alderman Cardona.
It's the motion. Any objections to his motion? Hearing none, the item is passed. All right. Next, stay on. We got another item. It's 20981 in the 24th Ward. Ordinance was referred on March 23rd of 2022. Common address is 3801 through 3803 West Roosevelt Road. And the change request from a B32 Community Shopping District and RT4 Residential 2 flat townhouse and multi-unit district, all to a B32 Community Shopping District. Nick,
Sure.
West Roosevelt, please.
Thank you again. For the record, Nick Fatikas from the law offices of Sam Banks. I'm here on behalf of the applicant and property owner, 3803 Roosevelt LLC. The subject property contains 23,700 square feet of lot area. It's actually currently improved with an operating gas station and accessory retail convenience store. The applicant was proposing or attempting to obtain a permit to expand the retail store, and a split zoning lot issue was raised. The southern portion of the lot, about 25 feet, is zoned RT4. So in order to establish a uniform zoning district so that the applicant can move forward with the retail store expansion, we're seeking a zoning change again to a uniform B3-2 zoning district. We did meet directly with Alderman Scott. We had a Zoom meeting with his office to explain the issue, and I believe the Alderman already provided a letter of support that should be on file with your office.
All right, we do have the support of Alderman Scott for the record. Any questions, comments from committee members? If not, Alderman Vice Chair Raboyes makes a motion to move to pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum. Any objections to his motion? Hearing none, the item is passed. All right. Let's see, top of page 5. Document number 20989, T1 in the 26th Ward. Ordinance was referred on March 23rd of 2022. The common address is 2117 West Grand Avenue. And the change request from C31 Commercial Manufacturing and Employment District to C21 Motor Vehicle Related Commercial District. Nick Fatikas again.
And again, Chairman, for the record, Nick Fatikas on behalf of the applicant and property owner, Icarus Investments Group, LLC. Chairman, before we move forward with the presentation, there is a substitute ordinance and substitute narrative and plan set for this application. I'd like to ask that the substitute ordinance narrative and plan set be incorporated into today's proceeding. I'd also point out that the existing zoning is actually C3-2, not C3-1. That was a mistake made by my office when we initially filed the application. We caught the error prior to sending out notice, notified your office as well as DPD, and we're able to resolve that issue prior to today's hearing. So I do want to make sure that change is part of the record today.
Okay.
Move on
So
the
we've got-
substitute narrative, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, we got two motions, right? So Alderman Raboyes moves to accept the substitute narrative and plans for the type 1 application by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum. Any objections to that? Hearing none, the substitute narrative plans are accepted. And then Alderman Raboyes moves to accept the substitute by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum. Now, this is the mistake, right? Of C31.
The correct
C32
is,
and we're referring it to C21.
We're still changing it to C21, but we wanted to make sure that the existing zoning was correctly noticed, and that was done. The correct existing zoning is C3-2.
Okay. All righty. So that's the motion I'm asking right now. Is that part of it? All right. So Alderman Raboyes moves to accept the substitute by the same roll call as used to determine quorum. Any objections to that? Hearing none, the substitute, everything is in front of us.
Great.
All right.
I'm sorry for that.
Let's talk about the project now.
So we're actually the applicant is proposing to bring the existing mixed-use building into compliance with the zoning ordinance. The ground floor retail unit and second floor residential unit will remain in their current condition. There are no changes physically proposed to the building. The applicant is actually attempting to obtain a mortgage as a owner-occupied building because this is intended to be, the residential unit is intended to be occupied by the owners. And an issue was raised during the review because the current zoning doesn't allow for any residential uses. So in working with Alderman Maldonado's office, we agreed again to a type 1 zoning change. And I think it's also mandatory in this case, but this is a type 1 zoning change to simply keep or bring the existing mixed-use building into full compliance with the ordinance.
All right. So we're not really doing anything to the building other than trying to get a mortgage for the owners.
That is it. There are no changes proposed. Part of that is also secured by the fact that this is a type 1 change. So if any other expansions are proposed in the future, we'd have to come back before the committee and the aldermen before doing so.
And do we have your letter of support from Alderman Maldonado?
Yes, you should already have the letter of support that was provided a few weeks back to Nicole.
Would you resend it, please?
Sorry,
Okay.
Nick.
No problem. We'll send it right now.
All right, questions, comments from committee members? Hearing none, can I get a motion to move to pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum?
Move to pass, Alderman Wagisbeck.
Alderman Wagisbeck makes the motion. And any objections to that? Again, we do have the support from Alderman Maldonado. Objections, this item is passed with the substitute narrative and plans as amended. All right, don't bring those complex things to me anymore. All right, let's go on to the middle of page 5. We're document number 20974 in the 30th Ward. Ordinance was referred on March 23rd of 2022. Common address 3735 West Belmont Avenue, and the change request from the C12 Neighborhood Commercial District to B33 Community Shopping District. Again, we have Nick Fatikas on the call.
And again, Chairman, for the record, Nick Fatikas, I'm here on behalf of the applicant and property owner. In this case, we are proposing to develop the subject property, which contains about 8,125 square feet of total lot area, with a new 4-story mixed-use building. The first floor of the new building will have about 1,625 square feet of retail space, and then a total of 12 residential units above. The building will also be supported by a total of 15 off-street parking spaces. We are seeking a zoning change to permit the proposed FAR as well as the total unit count on the subject lot. We worked directly with Alderman Raboyes. We participated in an open community meeting led by the Alderman, and I believe a letter of support is already on file. However, I also know that the Alderman's on today's call, and I'd be happy to yield the floor to him for further comment.
All right. Vice Chair Raboyes on the Belmont application, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Moving on with the Nick Fatikas Zoning Committee. Mr. Chairman, members of the Zoning Committee, a meeting was held on January 13, 2022 to introduce a new 4-story mixed-use development at 3735 West Belmont. The meeting was overwhelmingly approved. If there are no questions, Mr. Chairman, I ask for a favorable support from the committee on this matter before you.
Any questions for my vice chair on the Belmont application? I don't see any. Can I get a motion to move to pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum?
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Alderwoman Carrie Austin makes the motion. Any objections to her motion? Hearing none, the item is passed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, bottom of page 5, document number 20979, T1, in the 35th Ward. Ordinance was referred to March 23rd of 2022. Common address is 2414 North Sawyer Avenue, and the change request from an RS3 residential single unit detached house district to a B23 neighborhood mixed use district. We have Nick on your final call, I believe. Yes. Okay.
Yes, sir. Again, Nick Fatikas for the record on behalf of the applicant and property owner, P3 Properties LLC, 2414 Sawyer is the series number. In this case, Chairman, we are proposing to develop a currently vacant lot that's bound by 3 alleys. Contains a total of 9,825 square feet of total lot area, again, currently vacant. And we're proposing to develop it with a new residential building that would have a total of 9 residential units and 10 on-site parking spaces. We did, in this case, file a substitute plan set and narrative correcting the description of the project. So I would ask that the substitute plan and narrative be incorporated into today's proceeding.
Okay, Alderman Cardona makes the motion to move to pass by the same roll call. I'm sorry. I'm just looking, I want to look at an explanation of this. So, okay. So, Alderman Cardona moves to accept the substantive narrative and plans for the type 1 application by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum. Any objections to his motion? Hearing none, the substantive narrative and plans are accepted. So, Nick, we have here 10 unit building. So you're reducing the unit count?
Yeah,
and keeping 10 parking spaces? What is this?
That's correct. The total number of units is 9. The total number of parking spaces is 10. And that's what the substitute narrative and plan set both described correctly.
Right.
And we did work, our office worked directly with Alderman Ramirez Rosa's office. We participated in a number of open meetings with the local community organization, as well as participated in an open community meeting hosted by the Alderman. After that meeting, we obtained a letter of support, which I've sent to staff at your office as well.
We have a letter of support from Alderman Ramirez Rosa. Any comments, questions from committee members? Hearing none, can I get a motion to move to pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum?
So moved, Chairman.
Vice Chair Reboyes makes the motion. Any objections to the motion? Hearing none, this item is passed with the substantive narrative and plans.
Thank you so
All
much.
right, moving on to page 6. Do we have another group? Yep. Item. All right. Do we have Alderman Harris on the call? Okay. All right. So let me read them. I'll read all three at the same. So I'm going to read all three on page 6. Wait, how many do I can read at the same time? Oh, all in the 8.
There's 5 and 2 separate books.
Okay.
There's 2, Chairman, this is Carol Stubblefield with Neil and Leroy. There are 2 in Alderman Harris's ward, so those are the first 2, and then the remaining 3 are with Alderman Beal.
We seem to have 3 in Harris's. 79th, 87th, and 95th. We have in Harris 103rd and 111th for Alderman Beal. What do you think?
Hang on just a second. Checking something.
Alderman Beal, are you there? Tony?
I'm here, Mr. Chairman.
If you're looking on page 6 and 7 of our agenda, you have the one on 103rd Street and 111th. Do you have the one on 95th?
What's the exact address?
801 East 95th and 804 East 95th.
Yes, that's me.
That's you. Okay.
Yeah. The letters of support that we sent articulated the 3 in Alderman Beal and the 2 in Alderman Harris. We combined them into 2 support letters.
Okay. Well, in your application
For 95th,
station, you have in the 8th ward on that.
oh, I do say that in the 8th ward.
Okay, so we don't need to really get the substitute. All right. We'll hear the 2 in the 8th ward first, and then we'll do the 3 in the 9th ward. Correct. All right. Carol, you good with that?
Yeah, I was just looking through my application and I apologize for that. Yeah, it looks like I do have a typo in my form application.
All right. Well, let me read the ones in the 8th ward.
Okay.
Let me just see the next two items. Right?
Yep, the top 2.
Okay. So the next 2 items are identical projects, and we'll have one presentation. I'll call out the 2 items, and then Carol Stubblefield will make the presentation. File number 20970 in the 8th ward. Common addresses are 1116 East 79th Street and 1117 East 79th Street. The change request is from an M12 limited manufacturing business park district to a T transportation district. Then we have file number 20969 in the 8th ward. Common addresses are 911 East 87th Street and 944 East 87th Street. And the change request is M12 limited manufacturing business park district and RS3 residential single unit detached house district, all to a T transportation district. All right, Carol, do you want to talk about these 2 in the 8th ward?
Right. So good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. For the record, Carol Stubblefield with Neil and Leroy, offices at 20 South Clark, here on behalf of the applicant, Metra Commuter Rail Division of the Regional Transportation. With me today to answer questions is the project manager from Metra, Richard Rounds, and the architect of record for the project, Susan Thayer from Muller & Muller. As you point out, Mr. Chairman, both of these projects are being rezoned to the transportation district. Metra is seeking the rezoning for the renovation of the first matter, 79th Street and the Chatham Station on the Metra Electric District line, and the second matter at 87th Woodruff Station, also on the Metra Electric District line. Again, these rezonings are required for the renovation for these existing stations. And the applicant has complied with all notice requirements and received the support from Alderwoman Harris on these first two matters. We have no known objectors to the project or the rezoning, and we ask for your favorable approval of this zoning request, and happy to answer any questions.
Questions by committee members? We do have a letter of support from Michelle Harris, Alderwoman Harris. Can I get a motion to move due pass, but the same roll call that was used to determine quorum?
So moved by Alderman Cardona.
Alderman Cardona makes the motion. Hearing none, the item is passed.
2097 on 209.
Oh, both items are passed. That is 20970 and 20969. So Alderman Cardona makes the motion on both of those. Any objections? Hearing none, both items are passed. All right.
Last.
Now we're going to take the next three together in the 9th Ward. Start with document number 20966, 9th Ward. Ordinance was referred on March 23rd of 2022. Common address 801 East 95th Street and 804 East 95th Street. The change request from an RM5 residential multi-unit district, M11 limited manufacturing business park district, and M33 heavy industrial district, all to a T transportation district. The next item is number 20968 in the 9th Ward. Ordinance was occurred on March 23rd of 2022. This common address is 637 East 103rd Street and 638 East 103rd Street. The change request, M11 Limited Manufacturing Business Park District, B32 Community Shopping District, and RS3 Residential Single Unit Detached House District, all to a T Transportation District. And finally, in the 9th Ward, number 20967, address 469 East 111th Street and 470 East 111th Street. The change request from an M12 Limited Manufacturing Business Park District and M33 Heavy Industry District, all to a T Transportation District. Carol Stubblefield, you want to continue to talk on these metro improvements?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good afternoon, members of the committee. For the record, again, Carol Stubblefield with Neal and Leroy. Office is located at 20 South Clark. I'm here today on behalf of the applicant Metra Commuter Rail Division of the Regional Transportation. With me today from Metra is Richard Rounds, our project manager, and the architect of record, Susan Thayer from Muller and Muller. Mr. Chairman, these three matters, the 95th Street and Chicago State University station, the 103rd Rosemore station, and the 111th Street Pullman station are all being rezoned to the transportation district for the purpose of renovating these existing stations. The applicant has complied with all notice requirements and has received the support of Alderman Beal, who is on the call today. There should be a letter of support, as we spoke about. There are no known objectors to the project or the rezoning, and we ask for your favorable approval of the zoning request and happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Carol. Alderman Beal, you want to comment on these three improvements in your ward?
Absolutely, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, these are three projects that I've been working with Metro on for a little while, and I think these will be great improvements to the metro stations to try to get ridership up and active on the south side. Ridership has been kind of lagging, and I think these improvements will help attract people back to the metro stations in order to get downtown in a timely manner. So I respectfully ask the support of the members of this committee.
Thank you, Alderman Beal. Alderwoman Carrie Austin has her hand up. Alderwoman Austin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just really wanted to commend Alderman Beal on those metro stations, and I am very much aware of how long he's been working with Metro in order to improve these stations. And now it's at a critical mass, but I'm glad that it's finally come to fruition, and leave that all up to Alderman Beal and his adventures in trying to betterment the lives of those that live on the far south side. Thank you, Alderman Beal.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Madam
Mr. Chairman.
Alderwoman Austin. Any other comments, questions? So I'm going to have to take the Metro next time, go down to Pullman. Is that right, Tony?
Absolutely. Matter of fact, the 111th Street station has already been redone, so you're all good there as you come down and to the National Monument.
Yeah.
I still want to get that extension from what to 130th done in our lifetime, right, sir?
Hopefully by 2024 it'll be done.
Congratulations to you and obviously Alderwoman Austin and Michelle Harris on these much needed improvements. Any other comments, questions, committee members? Can I get a motion to move to pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum?
Absolutely.
That is Alderwoman Carrie Austin makes the motion. Any objections to her motion? These items, and I'll read all three of them, will be passed upon the vote. Hold on a second. I got to go back. We got to go 20966, 20968, and 20967, all in the ninth ward. All right. Motion was made by Alderwoman Carrie Austin. Any objections to her motion? Hearing none, these three items are passed.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank
All
you so
right.
much.
Thank you, Carol. All right, middle of page 8. We are on item number 20822, 45th Ward. Ordinance was referred on September 14th of 21. The common address is 5016 West Lawrence Avenue. And the change request from C11 Neighborhood Shopping Neighborhood Commercial District to an RT4 Residential 2-flat Townhome and Multi-Unit District. We have Amena Castro on this item in the 45th Ward. Anna? She might not be on the call yet.
I'm here. Oh.
Wait. First of all, Alderwoman Tavares, I'm going to get back to you after we do this one. I'm sorry.
I was waiting to
Okay.
get started. Hi.
All right, Ms. Castro, let's talk about the 45th Ward on Lawrence Avenue, please.
Yes. Good afternoon. It's afternoon. Good afternoon, Chairman and members of the committee. My name is Jimena Castro. I'm a zoning attorney at Acosta Esgar here before you today on behalf of the applicant, as you mentioned, for the property at 5016 West Lawrence Avenue. We're seeking to rezone the property from a C11 to an RT4 to allow the legalization of the building to have, the building has 4 units. We're simply rezoning it to allow those units to exist there legally. We also have a letter of support, I believe, from the Alderman's office, and I also believe they may be on as well. And we also are seeking to work with the Alderman's office for them to rezone the property back after we secure permits for the property.
All right. For the record, Gardner is supporting this as long as there's a downzoning upon completion. Do we have someone from Alderman Gardner's office on the call?
Yes, this is Marie from Alderman Gardner's office, and the office and Alderman Gardner are in support of this, as long as it does go back zone to C11, which we will coordinate with Huna.
All right, thank you very much. Any questions, comments from committee members? Hearing none, can I get a motion to move to pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum? Vice Chair Raboyes makes the motion. Any objections to his motion? Hearing none, this item is passed. All right, thanks, Ms. Castro. Okay. All right, I got to go back to the bottom of page 7. I forgot this item, and it's number 20965 in the 23rd Ward. Ordinance was referred on March 23rd of 2022. Common address is 7050 West 63rd Street, and the change request. Plan development number 1010 to C22, motor vehicle related commercial district. We have Noah Hammond. I think I pronounced it correctly. Noah?
Hi, good afternoon, committee members. You did pronounce that correctly. My name is Noah Hammett. I'm here representing 560 South Vermont LLC. And here with me are representing the applicant, an affiliate of the applicant, Richards Building Supply, are Ryan Guzior, the real estate manager, and William Swanson, the senior vice president. We are respectfully requesting that the property at 7050 West 63rd Street in the Clearing neighborhood be rezoned from PD 1010 to C22. The property was rezoned to the planned development back in approximately 2006, but the residential development that was planned for the property was never initiated. And instead, the restaurant that is currently the building for the restaurant is still on the property, continued to operate up until last year when it went vacant. The applicant requests a rezoning to C22 in order to comply with the current Chicago zoning ordinance and find a tenant to reoccupy the building, and also to use the back portion of the property for extra storage for the adjacent property owner, which is Richards Building Supply Company, and also to later apply for a special use permit for storage of vehicles on that back portion of the property.
Okay, we do have a letter of support from Alderman Tavares. Questions from committee members? Or myself, tell me, how big is this? How big is this property to begin with that was in a plan development?
It's approximately 50,000 square feet. The building's about 500 or 5,500 square feet of that.
Okay, so that plan development, that restaurant, that's all gone, right? So this applicant would like to, I'm assuming it's a very large parking lot with 5,000 square feet of restaurant.
Yes, that's exactly right.
So what does the new owner, which seems to be an adjacent commercial use, what do they want to do with this large property?
So the building that is currently on the property would remain unchanged and be occupied by either a restaurant or a retail tenant. And then just the back portion of the property, which is a large parking lot, would be used for additional storage for the company that's adjacent to it, which is Richards Building Supply Company. It would be used primarily for the storage of shingles. And as I mentioned, we would also be applying for a special use permit later for the storage of trucks at the property.
Okay, so what we're effectuating today is the change from plan development number 1010 to a C22, which would allow what you're saying with the additional special use application and approval, with especially the storage of trucks and stuff.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Questions, comments from committee members? Hearing none, can I get a motion to move to pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum?
So moved, Alderwoman Haddon.
Alderwoman Haddon makes the motion. Any objections to her motion? Hearing none, the item is passed. All right.
Thank you.
Now we are on the bottom of page 8. Document number 20964, T1 in the 25th Ward. Ordinance was referred on March 23rd of 2022. Common address is 1800 through 1802 West 17th Street. Also 1614 through 1626 South Wood Street. And the change request from a B32 community shopping district to a B23 neighborhood mixed use district. We have Tyler Manick on the call.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. For the record, my name is Tyler Manick of Shane Banks, Kenny and Schwartz. I'm here on behalf of the applicant SBSS Holdings for a zoning map amendment at 1800 West 17th Street. The request is to amend the zoning from a B32 community shopping district to a B23 neighborhood mixed use district in order to construct a 4-story residential building containing 8 dwelling units and 8 parking spaces. The height of the building will be 48 feet, 6 inches. Prior to this meeting, we did submit to the zoning department substitute plans narrative and ordinance that I would like to be incorporated into the record.
So my vice chair, Boyes, moves to accept the substantive narrative plans for the
No.
type 1 application by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum. Objections to his motion? Hearing none, the substantive narrative plans are in front of us. Continue, Tyler.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Prior to filing this application, the applicant presented this project to the aldermen and engaged in a series of meetings with the Alderman Zoning Advisory Board and community to refine this project. As a result of the applicant's ability to work with the community to arrive at a supported project, the alderman has given his support for this application, and a letter of support was given to this committee. With the support of the aldermen, I would respectfully request that this committee recommend passage to amend the zoning for 1800 West 17th from a B32 to a B23, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for the applicant or the attorney? None. Can I get a motion move to pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum?
So moved by Alderman Cardona.
Cardona makes the motion. Any objections to his motion? Hearing none, this item is passed with the substantive narrative and plans.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Right. Do we? Oh God, I'm going to try to. All right, let me read this into the record. It doesn't look like we have the applicant on the call, but I want to read it into the record, and then what do we have to do?
We'll just hold it, and if somebody signs on, you can
Okay.
come back.
All right. Number 20973, 36th Ward. Ordinance was referred on March 23rd of 2022. Common address is 6708 West Belmont Avenue. Change request from a B11 neighborhood shopping district to a B32 community shopping district. The witness we have is Malata of Nova.
No.
Close. If Malata is anywhere, can we get her hand raised so we can identify her and get her testimony? Okay, we're going to hold this until the end, in 36th Ward. Now I'm going to ask my Vice Chair, Raboyes, to take over the two items that are in the infamous 44th Ward.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have two items in the 44th Ward.
Hold on. We now have Malata. So after, we're going to continue in the 44th Ward, and then we'll go back to the 36th Ward. So Vice Chair Raboyes, the floor is yours.
Thank you, sir. Yes, Mr. Chairman, we have two cases in the 44th Ward. The first one is file number 20990, which was referred on March 23rd, 2022, for the common address known as 1457 West Roscoe Street. The change request is RT 3.5 residential 2-flat townhouse and multi-unit district to RM 4.5 residential multi-unit district. We have Thomas Moore, I hope, on the line. He can speak on the matter.
Yes, thank you, Alderman Raboyes. This is an existing 4 or 5 unit non-conforming building that's lot line to lot line. The applicant wants to do a much, it's going to be R4 building in every way except for the FAR, and it will only be a 3-unit building, and it will be much more family friendly, and they'll get rid of the existing curb cut. So the Alderman Tunney had a Zoom community meeting, and we're aware of no objections to this, and we have the support of the alderman, and we request your support as well.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. Alderman Tunney, would you like to speak on the matter before us?
Vice Chair, as Mr. Moore stated, we made outreach to West Lakeview, no objections. Corner lot, as I said, it's 4 or 5 units in very much need of a tear down and a rebuild. So less units, no curb cut, corner lot. I think it's appropriate use for this site, and I am in support of this zoning change to do it. And then I would say just on the record, Mr. Moore will have to go back and once the permits are there and rezone it back to the original zoning. Thanks.
Are there any questions on the matter before us? If there are no questions, Alderwoman Haddon makes a motion do pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum. Are there any objectors? Hearing none, the item is passed. Moving on to the 44th Ward, once again, we'll stay with Thomas Moore for another item in the 44th, file number 20976, which was referred on March 23rd, 2022, for the address commonly known as 3221 North Clark Street. The change request is a B1-3 neighborhood shopping district to a C1-3 neighborhood commercial district. Mr. Moore.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. This is an existing building. It's gone through many iterations over its history. It was a restaurant at one point, and it's vacant now. A very interesting lady who came to Chicago from the out west to work at Second City, and to supplement her income, she started walking dogs. And over the years, that turned into actually taking care of dogs. And she has a facility in Old Town, but it's inadequate for her customers. And so she found this property and is going to have a dog place where you can board a dog overnight or over the weekend if you're, and will have a dog care facility. It happens to be right next to a animal hospital, which should also be convenient. To allow the overnight boarding of dogs, we have requested a C13, and we're aware of no opposition, and we have the alderman's support, and we request your support as well.
Thank you, sir. Chairman Tunney, would you like to speak on the matter?
Yes, in support of this, they've met with the property owners outside. They're okay with it, and this is right next to Blum Animal Hospital, so I think it's an appropriate use to have the overnight storage and daycare such that this zoning change would allow. So, and would hope my committee supports me on this one.
Thank you. If there are no questions, Alderman Cardona makes a motion do pass by the same roll call used to determine quorum. Are there any objections? Hearing none, the item is passed. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Staying on page 9 up at the top, the one we just read into the record, I'll read again, 20973, 36th Ward. Ordinance was referred on March 23rd of 2022. Common address 6708 West Belmont Avenue, in the change request, B11 Neighborhood Shopping District to B32 Community Shopping District. So let me try it again. Milada Chonova is the witness. Would you like to identify yourself and repeat your name so that I won't mispronounce it again? Go ahead.
Yeah, hi, this is Milada. I'm here. Milada Krupnova from the 6710-12 West Belmont.
Okay, proceed.
My name is Rick Trankel, and I help Milada manage her restaurant at 6710-12 Belmont. And they purchased the building next door, which was a mixed-use building storefront with 2 dwelling units. The dwelling units are to remain, but the purpose of the expansion was to provide just additional seating and storage and office use for her restaurant business, which is growing here. And she's been in business for 25 years and has quite a reputation for hosting family events, parties of all kinds, birthdays, all kinds of celebrations. And so to match the zoning that she has right now, which is B3-2, is what she wishes to do to convert which used to be for many years just a trophy shop next door at 6708.
All right, that's Cafe Prague. It looks like my staff is alerting me to the site. I just have a question. This is all one building, right? You're not connecting two buildings, is that correct? Or just within the confines, so to speak.
We are connecting the two buildings. The buildings are only separated by one wall, and that wall, the intent is to break through that wall on our side and provide that additional seating for the restaurant.
All righty.
No bar or anything like that, because all of those licenses are on this side. Of course, they would have to be expanded to serve on the other side, but there's no restaurant or all the kitchen and everything for providing that service is on the existing side. So this is just basically for additional seating space for the growing party business and office storage.
What do we have for parking on this side?
In the back is really space only just for two cars. On the restaurant side, it's the same thing, 67-12. There's the owner and her husband park back there. And on the new building, there would be just room for two spaces there. So it might be additional for the tenants or something like that.
And you met with Alderman Villegas on this?
Yes, he wrote us a very nice letter supporting this expansion, and which was
my staff says that he has tendered that to our committee. So, any other questions, comments? Before we take a motion, and I know we'll support this restaurant, just a word of advice: if you're connecting two buildings rather than one building tearing down a wall, you might want to make sure you have the separations and the fire separations in the building department. It is not as easy as just blowing through a wall. And trust me, I've been through this, and it was a nightmare. But that being said, let's get the zoning on this thing to allow for the expansion of the restaurant. Any other comments or questions?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Vice Chair Raboyes makes the motion to move to pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum. Any objections to that? What? Hear an objection? No, I didn't. All right. So this item is passed. And good luck to you. Okay. Right. Moving to the top of page 10. Let me see. Document number 20977, 47th Ward. Ordinance was referred to March 23rd of 2022. This common address is 1845 West Waveland Avenue. And the change request from an RS3 residential single unit detached house district to an RT4 residential two-flat townhouse and multi-unit district. Mr. Tom Moore on this item in 47th Ward.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. This is existing is an old wooden house that literally is has severe problems, and Alderman Martin actually looked at whether or not it could be saved, and the decision was to move forward with removing it and replacing it with this 3-unit apartment building. We went through both the 47th Ward zoning committee process and the local community process. And both groups ultimately we made changes, but ultimately supported the request. And we have a letter of support from Alderman Martin as well, and we request your support. Thank you.
We have received a letter of support from Alderman Martin. Any questions, comments from committee members? Hearing none, can I get a motion to move to pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum?
So moved, Alderwoman Haddon.
Alderwoman Haddon makes the motion. Any objections to her motion? Hearing none, the item is passed. Moving to the middle of page 10, again in the 47th Ward, document number 20978. The ordinance was referred on March 23rd of 2022. Common address is 1747 West Henderson Street. Change request from an RS3 residential single unit detached house district to an RT 3.5 residential two-plat townhouse and multi-unit district. We have Nick Puglisi as the witness on this item in 47. Nick.
Hi, thank you very much. Yep, I'm here at 1747. My wife and I own the house, and we are looking to change the zoning from RS3 to RT 3.5 so we can complete a small addition on the back of our house, and that just slightly exceeds the FAR for the RS3 zoning. We did get a letter of support from Alderman Martin, and so we are just looking for your support as well. Thank you.
So this is a single family home, correct, Nick?
Correct.
Okay.
And it'll stay.
Any questions, comments from committee members? If not, can I get a motion to move to pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum? Alderman Cardona makes the motion. Alderman Cardona makes the motion. Any objections to his motion? Hearing none, the item is passed. Good luck to you.
Thanks.
All right, staying in the 47th Ward, document number 20960T1. Common address in the 47th Ward is 3528 North Ashland Avenue. The change request from C12 Neighborhood Commercial District to C13 Neighborhood Commercial District. We have Corinne O'Hara in the 47th Ward. Corinne?
Am I unmuted now?
Yes, you are. Would you
Okay.
identify yourself for the record? And let's talk about North Ashland.
Right. I'm Corinne O'Hara, and I am a member of Correct LLC, and who is the actual owner of the property. And my husband and I are the only members of Correct LLC. Emmett and I have owned 3528 North Ashland since 1999. We utilized it as our law office before, and when we retired from the practice of law, we basically had a vacant office for a long period of time. There is one residential unit upstairs. For quite a while, the Lashes, Chicago Lashes, rented from us, and also a psychologist, and then another therapist. Over the years after COVID, however, everybody left. So I have an office building in which I currently use one small office. The tenant upstairs cannot afford his rent, and so I thought that this was then the perfect time to raise the building and then rebuild with one commercial unit and 3 residential units above it. The size of the lot being 22,702 square feet is just shy of the required amount to meet the floor area ratio, which is why I need to go from C12 to C13. I have the presentation that I gave to the members of the Lakeview committees, as well as a letter of support from the alderman, which is Alderman Martin. We are adding the changes that they requested: commercial bike spaces, electric charging, and residential bike spaces for everybody. There will be parking in the back, one for each residential unit.
Questions, comments from committee members? Just a brief comment. We're neighbors on the other side of Ashland, being the 45th Ward.
Right.
What kind of tenant now with maintaining the C zoning? What kind of tenant are you looking for with C zoning?
Right. Well, we're actually looking to probably use it ourselves. So it's we do new family construction now through Correct Builders. We're like on our 16th, 17th building. It's our intention that we are going to be using it for our office space,
Right.
So,
Good. All right. And you will own the building, so you'll be
right,
owner
since
occupied.
99.
Yep.
I want a
So
better
good.
building.
Good, and thank you for your reinvestment, I should say.
Thank
We do
you.
have a letter of support from Alderman Martin. Any other comments, questions from committee members? Can I get a motion to move to pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum?
So moved, Alderwoman Hadden.
Alderwoman Hadden makes the motion. Any objections to her motion? Hearing none, the item is passed. Good luck to you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You, top page 11. Again, in the 47th Ward, 20959, 47th Ward, ordinance was referred on March 23rd, 2022. Address, common address, 4137 through 4139 Northwestern Avenue. Change request B32, Community Shopping District to B23, Neighborhood Mixed Use District. Sarah Barnes, I've missed you, Sarah. We haven't seen you for a while.
I know, I miss you guys.
Yeah,
too.
you're better
Maybe
looking than Nick. I'll just put that on the record, okay? There you go.
Thanks.
All right.
I won't
So-
tell him. And he just got back from vacation, so he should be rested and like beautiful.
Well, you look like you ready, or just come back on vacation yourself. So it's all good.
Oh, I have not, but I'm in need of one if anybody wants to join.
Let's talk about Western.
Deal. With that, thank you, everybody. I really do miss you all. Hopefully, we'll be back in the same chamber soon. But until then, for the record, my name is Sarah Barnes, and I'm an attorney with the law offices of Sam Banks. I'm happy to be here this afternoon on behalf of the applicants 4137 and 4139 Western LLC, which are owned and managed by the two Khan brothers, Azim and Rahim Khan, who coincidentally not only own the subject properties, but they currently have their real estate offices in the ground floor of one of the two three-story buildings that we are here today seeking to replace. The reason they are relocating that office, still staying within the 47th home within which they both also reside, but moving to a more commercially dense part of the neighborhood, because believe it or not, although this block of Western Avenue is predominantly zoned business and commercial, almost actually over 70% of the improvements on this side of the block on that section of Western Avenue are all residential in character and nature. Many of them are apartment buildings, but because this is also a transit served location. So in an effort to remain more compatible with the existing uses on that particular block, but to also satisfy a need for more owner occupied, larger family dwelling units in the 47th Ward, we worked with Alderman Martin as well as his 47th Ward Zoning Advisory Committee and the North Center Neighborhood Association and the North Center Chamber of Commerce towards some programming for the subject site, which calls for the construction of a new 4-story, 8-unit residential condominium building, which would, even though this is a transit served location, in response to a lot of the feedback that we got from the community members, we're still going to provide one-to-one parking for each of the units, because there does seem to be a little bit of a parking deficiency in that particular part of the neighborhood. So the building will feature 4 interior parking spaces in the basement of the proposed new building and 4 surface parking spaces. Again, we had pretty robust community engagement throughout this process, as well as some incredible feedback and personal work on behalf of Alderman Martin and his staff. And I am happy to report to the committee that we do have the unanimous support of all of the community organizations who have each provided letters, as well as Alderman Martin, who himself has tendered a copy of a letter of support to the committee. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions, and we just respectfully request the favorable determination of this board. Committee, excuse me.
We got a letter of support from Alderman Martin. Any questions, comments from committee members? Hearing none, can I get a motion to move due passed by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum? Alderwoman Haddon makes the motion. Any objections to her motion? Hearing none, the item is passed. All
Thanks,
right.
everyone.
Okay.
Have a great day.
Now we're at the bottom of page 11, document number 20971 in the 49th Ward. Ordinance was referred on March 23rd of 2022. Common address is 1952 West Morse Avenue. Change request from an RS2 residential single unit detached house district to an RS3 residential single unit detached house district. Ilya Pisarenko, I believe, is.
Yes, good afternoon, Chairman. Good afternoon.
Repeat your name for the record, please.
My name is Ilya Pisarenko, and I'm the witness and also the owner of the LLC.
Plan to do, sir?
We currently have a non-conforming 3-unit building in the front of the lot, and also a severely damaged coach house from the fire in the back of the lot. It's a 50 by 171 lot, and we're looking to subdivide it into 2 lots and build 2 single-family homes on each of those lots. And we're also respectfully requesting a zoning change for that to happen from RS2 to RS3, please.
You've met with Alderwoman Haddon?
Yes, sir, we have, and I believe we have Alderwoman Hayden's approval for this project.
We're going to hear from the Alderwoman herself on this one. Maria, would you like to speak on the application on West Morse?
Sure. Thanks, Chair. And hi, Ilya.
Hello.
Like Mr. Pisarenko said, this is a property that he acquired that was in pretty bad shape. We're looking forward to getting that burnt out coach house demolished. Neighbors are looking forward to that. Ilya and his architect met several times with us, with neighbors. We had a couple community meetings, including some on site, as we looked to figure out the best use and, kind of what was possible with this project. Ilya, I appreciate your time. I know we looked at a few different solutions. We were hindered by some of the zoning pieces, but ultimately I definitely support this, and this is what community members as well think will be the best use of this space. So it's got my support.
Alderwoman, questions for the applicant or the Alderwoman? Can I get a motion to move due pass on the same roll call that was used to determine quorum?
We'll move, Mr. Chairman.
Vice Chair Raboyes makes that motion. Any objections to the motion? Hearing none, the item is passed. All right, top of page 12. Document number 20734 in the first ward. Ordinance was referred on May 26th of 21. Common address is 2934 through 40 West Medill Avenue. And the change request from the C12 Neighborhood Commercial District to B23 Neighborhood Mixed Use District. We have Mark Kupiak on the call.
Thank you, Chairman. My name is Mark Kupiak. I represent the applicant in this case. The zoning change, we're looking to rezone property commonly known as 2934-40 West Medill Avenue. And we're asking to rezone it from a C1-2 district to a B2-3 district. Before we begin, Mr. Chairman, one procedural matter. I would like to amend our application and amend it to a type 1 application. We did deliver plans and narrative to the zoning department, and I'd like to amend the application and proceed as a type 1.
Okay, so Vice Chair Raboyes moves to amend the application to a type 1 application by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum.
So move.
Any objections? Hearing none, the item is now amended to a type 1 application. Proceed.
Thank you. And again, 2934 West Medill, very close to the intersection of Milwaukee Avenue and Fullerton. Subject property just located just to the south and west of Liberty Bank on that corner. Subject property has dimensions of 175 feet on Medill and 132 feet deep. The property was vacant when the applicant bought it, but it appears, and we're told that the last building was a commercial use, could have been a contractor's building and a contractor's yard. Obviously, that would be demolished, and he's looking, if the zoning change is granted, looking to build a new residential building with building amenities and parking on the ground floor and 56 dwelling units on the upper floors. We've been working on this for a long time. Had an extensive community process working with Alderman LaSpada in the first ward. We've had numerous rounds of community feedback. We also had more specific engagement the applicant did with Project Logan, which is a local art group that has worked at this site for a period of time before the applicant bought the property. One nice feature about this particular building that drew some favorable comments is that area, Milwaukee Avenue, in recent years, they've had some multi-unit buildings built, but some of those buildings had a predominant of one-bedroom apartments. The nice feature about this project is it's predominantly two-bedroom apartments, which draws some favorable comment from people in the neighborhood. I mentioned another point is that we've been working a long time, started this project under the old ARO Affordable Requirements Ordinance. We were not able to get it done before the new ordinance passed, but we're proceeding with the project and we will comply with the new ARO Affordable Requirements Ordinance. So with that community process, with our extensive engagement with the Alderman and his staff, the Alderman did voice his support for the project, and I believe he did send you his letter of support. And with that, we would ask for your favorable recommendation.
Letter of support from Alderman LaSpada. Questions, comments from committee members? Can I get a motion to move to pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum?
So moved. Alderwoman Hadd.
Alderwoman Hadd makes the motion. Any objections? Hearing none, this item is passed as amended to a type 1. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, middle of page 12. Document number 20954, T1 in the 8th Ward. The ordinance was referred on February 23rd of 2022. Common address is 9901 South Cottage Grove Avenue. And the change request from an M11 Limited Manufacturing Business Park District to a C31 Commercial Manufacturing and Employment District. Rolando Acosta. Rolando.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. I was going to use the better looking partner joke, but you already used it for Sarah and Nick. So I am here for Rolando, though.
Okay. All right, Michael.
We're representing JFA Real Estate, and it's a technical rezoning to correct a split zoning lot condition. The parcel being rezoned is a driveway that provides access to applicant's property to the south. And the property to the south is zone C31. And we seek to unify this all under a C31 zoning for consistent zoning. As a preliminary matter, this is in the Burnside Industrial Corridor, which required us to go to Plan Commission. And we received approval last week from Plan Commission. And I would ask that record of proceeding be incorporated here today.
Michael, staff asked me after it passed Plan Commission, there are no changes whatsoever from Plan Commission.
Correct. We also have a substitute narrative and plans which are on file with DPD, and those were filed prior to Plan Commission. So there's no changes since Plan Commission. From the original filing, we do have a substitute narrative and plans, which I would also like to be.
All right. So when we incorporate the records, that'll be taken care of. Correct, Mike?
Correct.
Okay. So Alderman Cardona moves to incorporate the records from the Planning Commission by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum. Any objections? Hearing none, those records are now incorporated. Continue, please.
And so with that, and again, I think that includes the substitute narrative and plans, which are on file with DPD as well. And we have a letter of support on file with your office from Alderman Harris, and available to answer any questions.
So we do have Alderwoman Harris on the call. Michelle?
Hi, Chairman. Thank you. I am in full support of the project. I hope that my colleagues will find it find favor in it and be able to support it also.
Questions for the applicant or the alderwoman? Hearing none, Alderman Pat Dowell makes a motion to approve this by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum. Any objections to her motion? Hearing none, this item is passed as revised.
Thank you very much.
All right, bottom of page 12. Document number 20259 in the 14th Ward. Ordinance was referred on November 13th of 19. Common address 4100 through 4230 West Ann Laurie Place. Also 4044 through 4210 South Karlov Avenue. And the change request. M22 Light Industry District, M23 Light Industry District to an industrial institutional plan development. And we have Mariah DeGrino on this item in the 14th Ward. And as a member of the Plan Commission, I think I said the version today will be an edited version of all the good work that you do, because it was lots of laudatory comments and lots of explanation, which, as we all know, is imperative in where Chicago is and where it's going. So, Mariah?
Absolutely. Thank you, Chairman. My name is Mariah DeGrino with the law firm of DLA Piper. We represent Greater Chicago Food Depository, the nonprofit organization that serves as Chicago's food bank. Kate Mayer, Executive Director of the Food Depository, and Andrew Lutzy, Vice President of Strategic Initiatives, are with me today. The Food Depository is requesting approval of a zoning amendment to create a new plan development, allowing it to construct a new meal preparation facility at its existing facility. This application was considered and recommended for approval by the Chicago Plan Commission at a public hearing on April 21st. I would like to request that the transcript from that hearing be incorporated into the record of today's proceedings.
Alderwoman Haddon moves to incorporate the records from the Plan Commission by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum. Any objections to her motion? And the records are in front of us. Continue.
Thank you. The subject property consists of a 20-acre site located at 4100 West Ann Laurie Place in Chicago's Archer Heights neighbor community area. The site is currently improved with the Food Depository's existing facility, which houses the Food Depository's warehouse, repacking and distribution operations, volunteer engagement, workforce development, and executive and administrative offices. The new meal prep facility would be constructed as an addition to the existing facility. In anticipation of the meal prep facility, the Food Depository acquired the site to the west of its existing facility and vacated Keeler Street under the city's nonprofit vacation program to assemble the overall site. The meal prep facility will have a capacity of up to 10,000 meals per day, allowing the Food Depository to reach currently underserved populations who lack access to food distribution sources. The total estimated development cost for the project is approximately $50 million and will support 230 construction and 30 new permanent jobs, in addition to the existing 220 jobs on the site. The project will provide MBE and WPE participation at 26% and 6% respectively, and will achieve 100 points on the city's sustainability matrix using multiple strategies from this matrix menu. The applicant has worked closely with community stakeholders in the vicinity of the project, as well as within its network of over 700 food pantries, soup kitchens, shelters, and other food distribution partners. There are no known objectors to the project. Alderman Burke did speak in favor of the proposal at the Plan Commission hearing last week. I respectfully request this committee's favorable recommendation that the application be approved, and we're available to answer any questions.
Let me ask the executive director of the depository to say a few words.
Of course. Kate, if you could, I believe Kate is in attendance. I'm not sure if she has, and there she is. She has been promoted as a panelist. Kate, if you could say a few words about the project.
I can. Thank you. And thank you, Mr. Chairman. And thank you to everybody. Hopefully you can hear me. It is, okay, wonderful. Thank you. As many of you know, during the last 2 years, we have been called upon to serve our communities in ways that we never thought we would need to. We have seen an exponential growth in the number of people turning to us. And during that time, we've also seen acute need for the most nutritious prepared meals, which has deepened our resolve to expand into this space to make sure that everybody who is vulnerable and who faces hunger in our great city has the food that they need, not just to get by, but to thrive. This project will be game-changing for the Greater Chicago Food Depository, and it will make it possible for us to reach people who today we cannot reach with nutritious meals made from scratch using great ingredients to ensure that everyone in our city can live healthy lives. Thank you so much for your consideration and the chance to say a few words.
Thank you, Kate. Questions, comments from committee members? Let me be the first to congratulate the Chicago Food Depository, and I've known Ed Burke for probably 40 years. I have never heard him opine so eloquently and you must on water as far as Alderman Burke. I've never heard him be so laudatory about a project. So that being said, obviously this is good for Chicago, good for the 14th Ward, and I would hope that you can get started sooner than later on your expansion and your continued service to the community. So can I get a motion to move due pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Is my Vice Chair Raboyes makes the motion. Any objections to the motion? Hearing none, the item is passed as revised. Okay. All right. Continue the good work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Top of page 13, document number 20784 in the 27th Ward. Ordinance was referred on July 21st of 21. The common address is 1215 through 1265 West Division Street. Also 1030 through 1178 North Elston. And finally 1200 through 1212 West Cortez. The change request, plan manufacturing development number 2 to business plan development. We have Paul Shadle on the call in the 27th Ward. Paul.
Good afternoon, Chairman Tunney, members of the committee. For the record, Paul Shadle with the law firm of DLA Piper, representing the applicant LPC Division 1 LP, which is the applicant for plan development approval for the proposed warehouse and distribution center project proposed to be developed on this site, which is approximately 11 acres located at the southwest corner of Elston and Division Streets. With me this morning are Will Freeve and Ben Fish from the applicant, if there are questions. The application was considered during a public hearing by the Chicago Plan Commission on April 21st, and the commission recommended approval. I request that the record of that proceeding be incorporated into the record of this meeting, including substitute materials that were included to accommodate Alderman Burnett's request that this site accommodate periodic non-accessory parking.
Alderman Cardona moves to incorporate the records from the Plan Commission by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum. Any objections? Hearing none, the records are incorporated. Continue, Paul.
I would just note that this project is the first of its kind, a 2-story plus mezzanines warehouse building with multi-story accessory office space and a separate employee parking structure. As I noted, we have available representatives from the applicant to answer any questions that members of the committee may have. And with that, I would respectfully ask for this committee's positive recommendation to the full council.
Okay. Alderman Burnett.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. So as the councilor said, we did have them meet with the local community organization, which is North Branch Work. They're full in support of it, and other members of the committee don't have a problem with it. This used to be the former People Gas site. This is where their offices was. I'm sure they had to spend a lot of money on environmental stuff to clean it up. We've asked the developer to encourage the contractor to joint venture with an African-American contractor, hire people from the community. One of the reasons that we were interested in them allowing for off-site accessible parking to be on that site is because it's kitty corner from the Morton Salts concert venue that's across the street. And it would give them an opportunity to have more parking when they have different venues going on in the area. So I thought that would be a win-win for both sides. They can make a little dough off of those patrons, but also Morton can help clear our streets and traffic up with some accessory parking in the area. I support this. My community support it. I ask for this committee support. Thank you.
Any questions for the applicant or the alderman? Hearing none, can I get a motion to move do pass by the same roll call that was used in the determined form? Vice Chair Reboyas makes the motion. Any objections to his motion? Hearing none, this item is passed as revised. All right.
Thank you,
sir.
And
Okay.
allow me to take my son's picture down in the background.
Well, I get in trouble by commenting on that. So let's see. We are now in the 26th ward, document number 20912. The ordinance was referred on January 26th of 2022. Common address is 1800 through 1840 North Hamlin, 1821 through 1857 North Hamlin, 3735 through 3759 West Cortland, 1820 through 1856 North Ridgeway. And the change request from an M11 Limited Manufacturing Business Park District and M12 Limited Manufacturing Business Park District, all to an RM6 Residential Multi-Unit District, and then to a plan development. We have Steve Friedland on the call in the 26th ward, and I think we have slides.
Yes. Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Steve Friedland with the law firm of Applegate and Thorne Thompson, here on behalf of the applicant Encontro Square Number 1 Limited Partnership. The applicant's a joint venture between two very well-known Chicago developers, Evergreen Development and Lucha, who've come together to present this project. Also with me on the call, representing Evergreen is Kate Gronstel. Representing Lucha is Charlene Andres, and I believe from our architecture team, Canopy Architects, we have Andrea McCoo. The project is located at the western terminus of the 606. And this is a project that's been taken a while to come to fruition. If you go to the next slide, I think you can see the project timeline here. It began several years ago. This has really been spearheaded by the city of Chicago and Alderman Maldonado. The alderman has been steadfast in desire to see affordable housing in this location, which is the location of the old Magid Glove Factory. And we're here today to present the final iteration of all of those meetings that you see on the screen. You can go to the next slide, I think. The first phase of this project will be in two buildings that you see in sub-area A. There will be a total of 89 units. All of these units will be affordable under the low-income housing tax credit program. There is a second phase that we intend to move forward with in the future. That'll be in sub-area B, and it would provide up to 98 units of affordable housing. It's also worth noting on this slide that you can see that right at the terminus of the 606 to the south of our property will be a new public park. All of this land is currently owned by the city of Chicago, so this is a project that will really transform this area. You can go to the next slide. This just gives you a view of those two buildings, and you can see sort of in shadow behind it what would be, or what we intend to be, our third building for the second phase. The project, as I say, has been supported by Alderman Maldonado and the city for quite some time. So I know that the applicant really wants to thank them for all of their assistance. I guess I would ask at this time, we did go to the Plan Commission last Thursday on the 21st. So we would like to incorporate the record of the Plan Commission into this hearing.
Vice Chair Raboyes moves to incorporate the records from the Plan Commission by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum. Any objections?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
No objections. The records are incorporated. Steve, continue.
Thank you. So again, these are our two buildings. We'd certainly be prepared to take any questions you might have, but thank you for allowing us to present.
And well, I have a couple questions. Obviously, I saw the presentation at the Plan Commission. Would the second half be 100% affordable also?
Yes. The second project would also be an affordable development. As I think we mentioned, Mr. Chair, and I'll say it again for the record, we would do that pursuant to a site plan review with the DPD staff, but we have agreed we would go back to Plan Commission for a courtesy presentation at a live meeting for the design and location of that building.
Just based on this this slide, where is 606?
So the 606, if you can see sort of a circular area at the end of Ridgeway. So Ridgeway is the street which is to the east of Building 2. And if you take Ridgeway all the way to the south end, that is the end of the 606.
And the park, the new proposed park, hopefully will happen, is that green area that's next to the number.
Correct. So to the south of what is shown sort of as a number 3, that Building 3, that area there will be a public park.
Great project. I know that Alderman Maldonado spoke very much in favor and expressed how long he'd been working on this project. So we know we have his support. Any questions, comments from committee members? None. Can I get a motion to move to pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum? And that is Alderman. Is that Alderman Wagasback?
Yes, sir.
Yep. And I know, Scott, while I have you, you commented extensively on this project. Do you want to say anything to the committee members?
Yeah, sure. I think, pardon me, during the Plan Commission, we had a great presentation from Steve, and I think a lot of the people that were working on it. When we look at where those metro lines come in, we were talking a little bit about how they're going to continue to develop that area, make it more safe for, I think, what will be a lot of children and families in that area, especially the ones that would be in the affordable housing. And I think, as Alderman Maldonado said, really putting this building there, the set of buildings, and around with the surrounding community, and hopefully preventing a little bit of the gentrification that's been kind of hitting that area. This is a project that's I think everyone will be very happy to see, but also want to move into at the end of the 606. So and I think Commissioner from CDOT, Gia Biaggi, also talked about working on some of these safety measures around those rail lines as well. So it's just a fantastic project, and I fully support it as well.
All right, so Alderman Wagasback makes the motion do pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum. Any objections? Hearing none, this item is passed as revised. Congratulations to the team and to Alderman Maldonado on this one. All right, bottom of page 13, document number 20910, 27th Ward. Ordinance was referred on January 26th of 22. Common address 170 North Green Street. And the change request, residential business plan development number 1354 to DX7 downtown mixed use district, and then to PD 1354 as amended. Katie Janky-Dale on this project in the 27th.
Great. Thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. For the record, my name is Katie Janky-Dale from the law firm of DLA Piper. We represent the applicant in this matter, 170 Green Owner LLC, which is a joint venture between CRG and Shapack Partners. As a preliminary matter, this application was considered and recommended for approval at the April 20th, 2022 Plan Commission hearing. We would request that the transcript from that hearing be incorporated into the record today.
Vice Chair Raboyes moves to incorporate the records from the Plan Commission by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum. Any objections?
So moved.
Hearing none, the records are now incorporated. Continue, Katie.
Great, thank you. This involves the former Bridgeford food site shown on the screen, located on the south side of Lake between Green and Peoria. As mentioned, we're requesting a rezoning from the current PD 1354 to the DX7 district, then to PD 1354 as amended. Next slide. The amendment would allow for the construction of this building, which is up to 465 feet tall, with 275 dwelling units, office, hotel, and a minimum of 235 parking spaces. You could move to the next slide. The proposal includes a generous at-grade open space that connects with the existing through block connection that currently exists from Halsted to Green at 167 North Green to the east, which is called the Muse, and continues that through block connection from Green to Peoria. The applicant will be providing 20% affordable units on site and making a bonus payment of over $6.5 million into the Neighborhoods Opportunity Bonus Fund. The project team worked closely with Alderman Burnett, Wilco, WCA, and NOW. We also presented at the Committee on Design and worked extensively with DPD staff on the final building design. We'd like to thank all of those people for their time and work with us on this. Please let me know if you have any other questions. Otherwise, we respectfully request the committee's favorable recommendation. Thank you.
This project met with a lot of support, not only from the Alderman, but the Plan Commission. And I want to hear from Alderman Burnett on this project in this ward. Walter?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. This is a beautiful project. It's adding a new dimension to this area with these muses, very artistical and a new type of open space. They met with the 3 community groups in this area, the West Loopgate, West Central, and also NOW. I haven't heard of any opposition to this project. We had a community meeting. There was no opposition. This developer is very good with hiring people in the community and working with minority contractors. He's good with putting the affordable on site. We appreciate all of the things that he's doing, appreciate planning on working with him and his architect on the design. There was a couple of renditions in reference to the Muse that they encouraged him to do, and it comes out to be a much nicer project. I just like to commend him, his lawyer, and everyone that's involved in the Department of Planning. I support this, my community support it. We ask that the committee support it also. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman. Questions, comments from the committee? I just have one comment, especially while we're on this screen. It's nice to see the uses together, but yet separate. So you have the office complex, then you have the hotel, and then the residential. To me, obviously, that's instead of stacking them, literally giving them each their own identity. I think that's pretty cool. And as Alderman Burnett says, like on this thing, this Muse, those are just connectors, basically open air connectors from, in this case, Katie, tell us, I thought there were 2 sets of Muse. Is there just the one? Katie?
So the one shown on the screen is Green on the left or right-hand side, Peoria on the left-hand side. There's an existing office building that's not shown on the screen to the east that already has an existing through block connection from Halsted to Green. So with the 2 buildings, you can get from Halsted to Peoria. PD 1359, that building is already built with that mid-block connection.
exciting new elements to our architecture, for our city. All right. Any comments, questions? Can I get a motion to move to pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
That's my Vice Chair Roboyas makes the motion. Any objections to his motion? Hearing none, this item is passed as revised. All right.
Thank you.
Staying in the 27th Ward, document number 20940. The ordinance was referred on February 23rd of 2022. Common addresses 1100 through 1152 West Blackhawk Street, 1400 through 1460 North Cherry Avenue, 1407 through 1451 North Cherry Avenue, and 1055 through 1067 West Weed Street. Plan development number 847 and PMD number 3, all to plan development number 847 as amended. We have Jack George, John, on this project with Mars.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. My name is Jack George. I'm an attorney with the law firm of Ackerman LLP, and I represent William Wrigley and Company. The subject property, as you've indicated, Mr. Chairman, is at 1132 West Blackhawk. It's in the 27th Ward. Before you today is an amendment to PD 847, and we are seeking to expand the boundaries of the PD to provide additional parking for the new pilot plant that my client wishes to build on the property. Mr. Chairman, this was before the Plan Commission on April the 21st of this year, and I would respectfully request at this time that the record of proceedings before the Plan Commission, the exhibits and testimony be incorporated into and be made a part of proceedings before you today.
Vice Chair Roboyas moves to incorporate the records from the Plan Commission by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum. Any objections? Hearing none, the records are incorporated. Would you continue, please?
Yes, this property is up on the screen right now. You say this property is located at the end of Goose Island. You can see our property was designated there as Mars Wrigley. The site is presently improved by the Wrigley Company with an innovation center, research center. What they wish to do is, can you go to the next slide, please? This slide is the site plan that shows the existing innovation center is at the very north end. The area that's colored out is where the new pilot plant is going to go. And right now that space is being used for parking. So we're going to lose that parking. So we have to then make up for it in what the property to the right, which is just the east of Cherry Street. That property is now going to be incorporated into the plan development so that the additional parking can be provided for over there. The next slide, please. This shows this is an aerial view of the subject site. In the left portion, you can see the existing Innovation Global Center. And right to the right of that is the existing pilot plant. And then there's the proposed new pilot plant that's right to the right of that, which would be 40,000 square feet. And that's what we're seeking to do. But where that proposed pilot plant is going, as I've indicated, that used to be parking. And so the parking now is being taken. It's going to be just in the background there. You see that large parking lot. That'll be the parking lot that will be made up for it. The next slide, please. And this is just a rendering and showing the site. Here it shows again to the left portion, you see the Innovation Center. And on the right hand are the existing pilot plant and then the new pilot plant. I think that takes care of all the slides. This is just the last slide, which just shows the view looking north on Cherry Street. The thing about this is that as we were doing this plan development, you'll see there are railroad tracks that are in the street there just to the right. Those are going to be taken up by, we're paying for the cost of having those removed. And then that will be used as a bike path going all the way up. Eventually it will all go up to North Avenue, which is the north end of this one. Our property ends right at the end, and there's the water basin there, and then there's a bridge, and then there's North Avenue. But this bike path will now be allowed people to use it and go all the way from North Avenue all the way down to Division Street. That's really the sum and substance of this project. The total cost of the project is $40 million. When the when the new proposed pilot plant is up, there will be about 550 people working on all three buildings here on the site. William Wrigley is extremely proud of this proposed plant. It's going to help them expand their testing of new products for the Wrigley Company, the Mars Wrigley Company, and it'll be a tremendous thing for our city. Great step, and it shows the commitment of Mars Wrigley and the Wrigley Company to expanding here in the city of Chicago. And so based on that, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee, I would ask for your favorable recommendation for this project. We stand ready to answer any questions that you might have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. George. Alderman Burnett.
Alderman Burnett did testify at the Plan Commission hearing, but I know I wanted to speak today, I think, yeah.
Well, in his absence, I was at the Plan Commission, and Alderman Burnett spoke very highly of this expansion of basically Research and Innovation Center and Mars' commitment to the city. So I know that he is in total support of this project. And Walter, I'll give you your last chance to accommodate us. No? All right, well, you'll have to take it from me, the chairman, that Chairman Burnett is extremely excited about this project. All right, questions for Mr. George or the team? Hearing none, can I get a motion to move to pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum?
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman. I just want to say it's a beautiful project.
Burnett. Okay.
I apologize. I just want to say it's a beautiful project. North Branch Work supported 100%. All of the businesses in the area, they do a great job with their program. It's good to have this big corporation to stay in Chicago and to expand this property. And I wish they would allow me to be a tester for their new projects coming online. New gum, new candy, all that stuff, but I can't do that. My dentist won't let me. But anyway, I support this 100%. I ask for the committee support also. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman. Alderman Wagerspack, did you have your hand up for a second?
No, I did, Chairman. I was just going to say that I was at the Plan Commission as well, in case Alderman Burnett wasn't able to speak. I agree with you that it was an excellent project and would make a motion if you're ready.
All right.
Mr. Chairman.
Hold on a second. I see you, Roberto. I see you. Okay. You would like to be recognized, Alderman Maldonado?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just got notice that this meeting was going on today, that this item was going to be on the agenda. So I'm glad I was able to jump in and express my full support for Encuentro project. This is going to it's going to have a great impact in our ward that is gentrifying, and to bring 185 new affordable housing units into that site with the first phase of 89 units is going to be great for our working families at the end of the 606 trail. So I want to thank Lucia for their hard work, and Commissioner Navarro and Commissioner Cox for their continued support in helping us to build affordable housing that we so badly need in the 26th ward. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Alderman Maldonado, and both Alderman Wagerspack and myself spoke, and not as eloquently as you in regards to your support for the project, but congratulations, and we look forward to not only the affordable housing and the public park that hopefully will be adjacent to that too. So congratulations on that item, Encuentro. But now we're back to Alderman Burnett on the Mars expansion. Alderman Wagerspack makes a motion on move to pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum on the Wrigley site. Any objections to his motion? Hearing none, this item is passed as revised. And now I need, according to my staff, do we have any? So can I get a motion to adjourn the zoning meeting? Alderman Alderman Wagasback makes the motion.
To adjourn.
You want to continue, Scott? Scott, Alderman Wagasback makes the motion to adjourn. Any objections? Hearing none, the item, this meeting is adjourned.